It is the news that Chelsea fans have been waiting for, and that is that Conor Gallagher is staying at Chelsea Football Club. Potentially. But we are going to speak about the news that Conor Gallagher could be offered a new contract. We're also going to talk about Jhon Duran, Jhon Duran, the Aston Villa boy. We are looking at bringing him in for a bit too much money for my liking, but we're going to break that one down, and we're also going to give an update on Michael Olise, who is edging closer towards a Chelsea move. But people, before we get into all that, welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. If you are new around here, please do me a massive favour. At the end of the video, if you like the content and you want to see more from myself, hit the subscribe button. Smash the like button right now. We are back in my bedroom. I have been here, there, and everywhere. Regardless of where I am in the world, I'm still trying to bring content to you guys. I am doing a lot of content at the moment around England, around the Euros. I'm going to be previewing and reviewing every single match that Gareth Southgate's men have in Germany this summer, starting with Sunday's game against Serbia. But in the meantime, I'm still going to be bringing you Chelsea news as and when it breaks. So let's start off by talking about Conor Gallagher. But before we get into all that, I need to remind you of something. Sunday, the 16th, is not just England's first game of Euro 2024. It is also Father's Day. Now, let's be honest, you forgot about Father's Day, didn't you? I thought you might have, and that is why we have got you covered. Because this Father's Day, you need not look any further than Manscaped. Manscaped are the leaders in below-the-waist grooming, and they could help your dad make your mother a very happy woman this Father's Day. And the good news is today I am working with Manscaped, meaning that they are linked in the description. You click on that link, and when you order whatever you want from their website, you use the discount code Joey Knight, all capitals. That will get you 20% off and free shipping. Now, my missus and daughter asked me what I wanted for Father's Day this year, and it took me about that long to think of the answer. I don't want to be looking a little bit scraggly. I don't want any loose ends, so I need the Manscaped Performance Package. First off, in the Performance Package is the Face Shaver, also known as the Manscaped Handyman. And the thing I love about the Face Shaver is it is not just for home use. You can take this with you, use it quick and easy on the go. It is the essential tool for your dad this Father's Day, which also includes shampoo, conditioner, oil, and balm for your beard. It also comes with a brush, comb, and scissors so you can trim your facial hair to perfection. So remember to check out the Performance Package 5.0 using my link in the description. When you get to your checkout, you put in Joey Knight, all capitals, for 20% off and free shipping. Thank you very much to Manscaped once again for their support on the channel. Let's get into the video. Right, so The Guardian are now reporting that Chelsea are considering a shift in their position over selling Conor Gallagher and could make a serious effort to agree a new deal with the midfielder. Now, Conor Gallagher staying could be a huge boost for Chelsea's potential on the pitch next season, especially when you look at the back end of the season and you look at the partnership that was formed between himself and Moises Caicedo once Enzo Fernandez came out of the lineup. But it could also go some way to building bridges between the fan base and the ownership, because these owners know that we as the fans, the match-going, ticket-paying, Stamford Bridge boozing, in my case, fans do not want to sell the Gal Dog. He is an academy product. He was probably our most important player last season, or definitely one of our most important players. He started all but one games in the league for Chelsea last season. And if we were to offer him a new contract, it really does have to actually question the speed of the decisions and how quickly these decisions, and in some people's opinions, how recklessly these decisions are being made. Because it was only less than a month ago that Mauricio Pochettino left Chelsea Football Club. And it also doesn't take a genius to understand that one of the main reasons Mauricio Pochettino left Chelsea Football Club was because he wanted to keep Conor Gallagher. The club wanted to sell, or felt they were forced to sell, Conor Gallagher. So when Mauricio Pochettino enters these meetings with Todd Bowley, with Igbali, with the board, I think the message was clear, and that is that I do not want to sell Conor Gallagher, and ideally, I don't want to sell Trevoh Chalobah. And if you, Mauricio Pochettino, the first team coach, cannot fall in line and cannot work under this board and the decisions that we make, you will be a thing of the past. Ultimately, Mauricio Pochettino then leaves Chelsea Football Club. Then to ease the worries of FFP, we sell a couple of hotels to ourselves. And now we're all of a sudden hearing that we no longer need to potentially sell Conor Gallagher or Trevoh Chalobah or any of the youth academy products just in order to fall in line with financial fair play. And therefore, we might see Conor Gallagher stay. Now, I am fully behind the Enzo Maresca project, and I do believe that we have to look forward into the future rather than looking back into the past. But I am just going to say it here. When you look at the end to the season that Mauricio Pochettino had with this Chelsea side, and when you look at the fact that the players loved him, you saw the Instagram, the social media posts when he left, the players were gutted, they were heartbroken, and we finished the season so well. I'm just going to say it. If we were going to keep hold of Conor Gallagher all along, then we might as fucking well have kept hold of Mauricio Pochettino all along. Anyway, I suppose that we don't live in an ideal world, do we? But if we do manage to pull our fingers out and offer Conor Gallagher a new contract, that would be music to my ears. However, as brilliant as Conor Gallagher is and as reliable as he was last season, and when you really deep it and take in the fact that, or take into play the fact that we are often without so many players through injury, you can definitely see Conor Gallagher getting a lot of minutes next season, if not all of the minutes available to him if he stays at Chelsea next season. However, this ownership did not spend big on Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia for them not to play. We've seen how Enzo Maresca seems to set up. We've seen how Mauricio Pochettino set up last season. And it is very, very unlikely that you're going to see those three boys in the starting lineup as well as Conor Gallagher. So how much first-team football will Conor Gallagher be getting at Chelsea next season if he does stay? That is a question that is still yet to be answered. Enzo Maresca's the man to answer that question, or at least to work out how Conor Gallagher, Romeo Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Ugochukwu, the rest of them all fit in to his system when he starts his job officially on July the 1st. But I could just give you a word of warning here. This could all just be a ploy to get clubs paying more, because ultimately if the clubs don't feel like it's necessary for us to let go of Conor Gallagher, they could then start to feel like it's actually Chelsea that are in the position of power, and therefore it could force their hand at paying more or closer to the £50 million asking price that we're hearing that we would want for Conor Gallagher. Now, I personally think that Conor Gallagher is probably going to start for Gareth Southgate's England at this Euros. I think that the more sexy option, I could say, is probably to have Trent Alexander-Arnold in that pivot next to Declan Rice. Now, the problem for that is, despite creativity and individual brilliance often being what can see you over the line in tournaments, the other main thing that can see you over the line in tournaments is defensive structure. Not conceding a lot of goals and not giving the opposition a lot of opportunities to score those goals. And I do believe that a midfield pairing of Declan Rice and Conor Gallagher works defensively better than a pairing of, let's say, Declan Rice and Trent Alexander-Arnold, Declan Rice and Kobe Mainoo, even possibly maybe Declan Rice and Adam Wharton, who I hold my hands up, I'm guilty. I haven't seen enough of him to really compare him to Conor Gallagher just yet. But when you compare the other boys that I've named to Conor Gallagher will win more ground duels than them. He'll make more tackles, more interceptions, more blocks, and therefore he's going to be a better pairing with Declan Rice. So if England go deep in the Euros, which is what I am predicting, by the way, if you want to see the Euro content, make sure you are locked into my page. I'm smashing it out pretty much every day at the moment. If England go deep in the Euros, the price tag for Conor Gallagher could be inflated, and therefore we could see bids from other clubs. We could see Aston Villa and Tottenham up the price that they're willing to spend on him, and then we could come to a crossroads where we need to make a decision. Now, the key thing is we need to get Conor Gallagher to sign a contract, because if he doesn't sign a contract, yes, brilliant for us fans, he'll be here next year, but ultimately, he'll leave at the end of the season on a free, because he's only got that 1 year left. So we need to get him to sign another contract either way. unless we're going to sell him. And obviously, as I say, I hope that we don't sell him. If we do sell him, I don't want it to be to Spurs. It could well be to Aston Villa. And Aston Villa and Villa Park is where we are heading for the next story, because it turns out that we are actually interested in signing one of their boys. In fact, we've been interested. We've been linked to him last summer. We've been linked to him in January, I think, and that is the 20-year-old Colombian, sounds like one of my searches on the internet last night, Jhon Duran. Now, the young forward didn't get a whole load of game time last season, scoring 7 goals in 33 appearances in both league and cup for Aston Villa. But when you factor in the fact that he was playing second fiddle to Ollie Watkins a lot of the time, a man who got 32 goal involvements in 37 league games, you can understand why the Colombian youngster wasn't given that many minutes. But when you delve a little bit deeper into Jhon Duran's stats, you'll see that he was actually pretty good. In the Conference League, he starts 4 games, he gets 2 goals. Not too bad. In the Premier League, he only actually started 3 games and saw a return of 5 goals. 2 of those goals came in a pretty electric cameo appearance against Liverpool when he came on with his side trailing and managed to help Villa secure and claw back a 3-3 draw. Now, this boy is quite clearly a natural finisher. He's left-footed, but he can score with both. The power that he can get on a shot is pretty remarkable. His explosiveness turns me on a bit, and I don't know if rapid is a stretch, but he's also pretty quick. He's 6'1", so he's not Šeško levels of tall, but he's definitely taller than Julian Alvarez, and therefore could offer us something different, in my opinion, when it comes to the versatility in the way that we break teams down. And in a pool of players that is a fraction of the size that it used to be when I was a kid, he does fit the typical old school number 9 mode. You know, he's actually probably more of a natural number 9 than Nicholas Jackson is. However, Nicholas Jackson just got 19 goal involvements in his debut Premier League season, and I can't definitively say that I expect Jhon Duran to be able to get those sort of numbers next season if he was to sign for Chelsea. So that means, is he even an upgrade on Nicholas Jackson? Will he be there instead or as well as Nicholas Jackson, or can he play in the same team as Nicholas Jackson? We think that Nicholas Jackson could potentially end up moving out to the left-hand side if we don't sign no one over there. Keep your eyes peeled for that. We'll be talking about who we could sign to go on that left-hand side in a minute. But Nicholas Jackson might not necessarily be a number 9 for Chelsea next season. Also, Nicholas Jackson has done a bad sprain to his ankle in international duty, which is an absolute fucker. I really wanted him fit and available for pre-season so Enzo Maresca can see just how good Nicholas Jackson is. But off of Nicholas Jackson, onto Jhon Duran. The cynic in me says that at 20 years old, why are Aston Villa actually willing to sell? Because I get that I've just given a case for Ollie Watkins and why Ollie Watkins is obviously Aston Villa's number 1 and a better option for them at this moment in time. But at 28 years old, Ollie Watkins won't last forever. So surely the powers that be at Aston Villa are able to look at Jhon Duran if he is as good as we are reading, and they're able to say, right, okay, you might not be ready this second right now, but maybe another season getting more minutes, maybe a loan spell, and maybe after that, when Ollie Watkins is then approaching 30, you are the heir to the throne. I don't know. Maybe that is cynical. I mean, look at Carney Chukwuemeka. They obviously didn't think that about him because they sold him to us, and he is a top player. But around 50 million euros, we have to admit that this signing would be a huge gamble. Now, it's no secret that our ownership are very much gearing towards signings who could potentially have a lot of high sell-on value. And that means that it's going to be a more attractive proposition for our ownership to splash, let's say, 50 million euros on a Jhon Duran than it potentially is on a Ivan Toney, who you might feel is more fitted for the here and now to be able to come into this Chelsea side and to be able to hit the ground running. And he's also way more proven in the Premier League. But if you give the 28-year-old Ivan Toney a 5-year contract per se, how much is Ivan Toney's sell-on value in 2-3 years, you know? When he's a couple of years into that contract and he's 30 or older, you know, is he going to have much sell-on value? Now, sell-on value for you lot is not the be-all and end-all. I completely understand that. It's not the be-all and end-all for me. But obviously, we don't want to keep things too hypothetical on this channel. So we understand the way that the board are moving. We understand their vision, the way that they want to work, whether we agree with it, disagree with it, think it's going to, come good and come to fruition for us, or whether we think it's going to lead us down the garden path and fuck knows what. That is a conversation for another day. But understanding the board's vision will make you understand why Jhon Duran is obviously a more appealing prospect for this ownership. And if you sign Jhon Duran, he could develop at Stamford Bridge. He could become the man that leads our line for years to come. Or he could come in, play well, have a high sell-on value, and ultimately play into the way that the ownership are looking to run this club. Who knows? It might be worth mentioning, by the way, the fact that we still have Amanda Broha on our book. We've heard that Everton could be coming in for him, but, until that move goes through, we could still be with Amanda Broha next season. And also, it's definitely worth mentioning that we're going to have Trevoh Fofana back as well. We might send him out on a loan again, but when you look at the numbers that he put up at Burnley last season, similar to Jhon Duran's numbers, especially when you go minutes on the pitch. It's Burnley. So Burnley got relegated. Aston Villa got Champions League football. Smart money would say, at Aston Villa, you're playing in a side where you're going to get more opportunities. You're going to get more of the ball. You're going to get more chances to score, chances to assist, and chances to have better goal involvement numbers. So definitely, Trevoh Fofana needs to be mentioned here. But I'll actually probably surprise all of you here. I'm not going to be throwing my toys out the pram if we do sign Jhon Duran. Now, there's obviously names like Benjamin Sesko and Victor Osimhen that are more appealing than Jhon Duran. They're more established and they're in higher demand. But at the same time, being more established doesn't necessarily mean that you're a better signing for the future because of what you've done in the past. As ironic as it sounds here, there's more evidence, isn't there, that Duran can cut the grade in the Premier League than Sesko or Osimhen. And I know you'll think that's crazy, but ultimately he scored Premier League goals and the others haven't. And if you look at Kai Havertz, for example, he was lighting it up in the Bundesliga. And despite that you might say, oh, he's coming good for Arsenal now, he wasn't able to translate his Bundesliga form over to Chelsea when we signed him. Okay? So you could maybe liken that to Benjamin Sesko. Victor Osimhen, brilliant player in Serie A, but so all those years ago was Shevchenko, and he wasn't able to translate his goal-scoring form in Serie A over to the Premier League. So, listen, let's not get it twisted. I'm not saying that these guys aren't a better player than Jhon Duran. They clearly are, at this moment in time, better than Jhon Duran. But if you're looking at upwards of 80 million, say, for example, for Benjamin Sesko and Victor Osimhen, and the fact that neither of them are coming to us. Benjamin Sesko's just signed a deal extension. He's going to stay in Germany next season. Victor Osimhen looks like he's going to PSG. I am interested in Goncalo Ramos, but I'll stick a pin in that one for the time being and say that if we can knock around 10 million off of this £50, I wish, 50 million euro asking price for Jhon Duran, and we can structure the deal in a way that it suits us ever so slightly, I don't know. I think that he may actually be better suited to Chelsea, and this may actually be a better signing. I am not gutted about the Jhon Duran signing. I actually really like what I see of Jhon Duran. So if we can get the price down, I think it'd be a good signing. 45 million, roughly, is what we paid for Cole Palmer, a man who had never scored a goal in the Premier League. And at the time, I remember that being seen as a lot of money. I also remember he was our second option up behind Michael Olise, who we might get as well. So, what I'm saying is, now, I feel like we got Cole Palmer fucking half price. So, there you go. On to a man now who definitely won't be coming in for half price, but we may still be getting, and that is the man I just mentioned in Michael Olise. We got an update for him, and apparently it is that we have agreed personal terms. But just because we've agreed personal terms, that doesn't necessarily mean that we are actually getting him. And obviously, we have a word of warning here that you got Man United circling around this transfer, ready to swoop if Chelsea drop the ball. But we've got a lot going for us here, especially over Man United. Olise was actually born in Hammersmith, right near Stamford Bridge. He also played for our academy for a short while. His little brother, in fact, still actually plays for our academy. He's living in London at the moment. He wouldn't need to relocate with a move to Chelsea. And surely he's not looking at a leaking Old Trafford thinking, oh, I know what I want to do. I want to go and play Ten Hag ball next season. I mean, look at the way that Palace finished this season, thrashing Man United as well in the process. There's no guarantee that Palace don't finish ahead of Man United next season. They're keeping hold of Ten Hag. If they don't get their business right in the transfer window, if they have more injuries like they did this season, I don't know, mate. I don't know. There's no guarantee. Look, you'd say, obviously have Man United as a favourite to finish over Palace. But what I'm saying is, surely, despite the uncertainty around our new manager, Michael Olise is going to be looking at Chelsea thinking they are a way more attractive proposition for me to be playing my football with next season. A young, talented squad that Michael Olise could fit seamless. That's the word I always go for. He could fit very well, like a glove, in fact. Because let's be honest, Michael Olise is magic. And Michael Olise very much fits the style that we are assuming Enzo Maresca's Chelsea side will play in next season. Because although we only have about a season's worth of data to analyse, Maresca's Leicester team played with a very heavy reliance on their wingers. Maresca mostly started Mavididi and Fatawu on the flanks for Leicester last season. And at the end of the season, those two boys ranked first and second for individual take-ons in the entire division. Now, many people see Cole Palmer as a 10, but we must not forget that a lot of his goal contributions last season came from the right wing. However, I wouldn't say, even when he's played on the right wing, Cole Palmer is your typical out-and-out winger. He will often rely on his vision and his passing ability to see him past defenders rather than the need to drive at them and take them on. Mykhailo Mudryk is a man that can obviously run in behind, but how often did we really see him taking on defenders? Obviously, the most natural fit for that is Noni Madueke that we've got at the club that could fit that Maresca style. And Noni Madueke is a good player, man. Noni Madueke is a very good player, in fact. But at this moment in time, Olise's levels above him, man, and his 10 goals and 6 assists in just 14 Premier League starts for Crystal Palace last season would suggest that. But the elephant in the room here is, why was it just 14 starts? Because Michael Olise actually missed a shitload of games last season through 2 separate hamstring injuries. And now, bearing in mind, we bought in Nkunku off the back of a season where he had suffered and missed quite a few games with injury. And then he comes to Chelsea, looks pretty good in pre-season, looks pretty good whenever he gets on the pitch, but hardly gets on the pitch because he suffered an injury-riddled season. We surely have to look at bringing Michael Olise in off the back of an injury, well, not injury-ridden, but a season where he missed a lot of time through injuries, and we have to question, is this a massive risk? And I think the answer to that is yes, it would be a massive risk, wouldn't it? Because ultimately, one of the main things that hindered us this season was the amount of injuries that were building and building as the season went on. However, when I look at Michael Olise and I think that he could really take our attack to the next level, it is a risk that I am willing to take. And now just think about this, right? Imagine we finish this transfer window having spent around 100 million, which sounds crazy that I'm just throwing it out there like, 100 million, but actually, prices in football, inflation and whatnot, plus the fact with Chelsea, we do spend around that sort of money. So say we spend around 100 million, right? Probably less than we spent in the other windows as well. But say we do that and we finish the window having bought in Tosin in defence from Fulham, on a free, a very capable player who I think could potentially get more minutes than maybe we're envisioning straight away. You look at his passing, the ability to play out from the back, his judgment as well, the tackles that he goes for. He's a good defender. Say we keep hold of Conor Gallagher, give him a new contract, and then say we brought in Jhon Duran and Michael Olise, I think I'd be pretty happy with that window, to be honest. I think I'd be pretty buzzing with that for a window, if I'm honest, because you've got to remember, Fofana, Reece James, Lavia, and Nkunku will all feel like new signings when they come back if they come back, and establish himself in the first team. You also look at players like Malo Gusto, Caicedo, Cucurella, Palmer, Jackson. They're all only going to get better next season. So whether we've got Mauricio Pochettino here or not, whether we've got a coach that could potentially be better than Pochettino, could potentially be worse, or could potentially be in a similar mould to Mauricio Pochettino, one thing that we can't deny is the foundations and the good work done by Mauricio Pochettino in the short amount of time he had at Chelsea Football Club have set us up for, in my opinion, a successful season next season. I honestly feel hugely optimistic going in to the 24-25 season. So I want your guys' thoughts on the rumours, on the stories that we spoke about today. Obviously, Conor Gallagher staying, what a huge boost that could potentially be for us. Or do you disagree? If you do, let me know in the comment section below. I also want your thoughts on Jhon Duran. I understand that a lot of guys were holding out for Osimhen, were holding out for Seshko, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So, Jhon Duran, would you take a Jhon Duran over, let's say, an Ivan Toney, someone like that, for example? Have you watched much of him? Obviously, a lot of you guys might not have even seen too much of him. And let's have your thoughts on Michael Olise. Where does he fit in to this Chelsea front line? People, before I go, I want to say a massive thank you to you lot once again. I thank you all the time on this channel, but I really am massively, massively grateful because the opportunities I'm getting at the minute are mind-blowing and at the same time life-changing, to be honest. It's changing mine and my family's life all the time, you know. This channel led to me getting a spot on the kickoff. This channel led to me getting my place on Misfits. Obviously, I'm fighting on there now. And it's leading to real good things. And obviously, you guys interacting, you guys sticking around and being here for the journey is the main reason why I'm getting these opportunities. So I really do have to say, from the bottom of my heart, I'm very very grateful. Next week, I'm flying out to Saudi Arabia again, this time to cover the UFC. They're putting on a card over there. You got Robert Whittaker against Khamzat Chimaev, so that's going to be a really good one. Really looking forward to that. Keep your eyes peeled on the channel. I'm going to be dropping all of my content off of here surrounding Chelsea, the transfer news over the summer window. Shut up, will ya? Trying to do a video. You can probably hear that siren. Yeah. So I'm going to be dropping all of that. And also, we're going to be covering England. We're going to be covering Euro 2024. So stick around for that. Thank you very much for joining me to the end of another video. And I will see you all in the next one.